Well, I wouldn't have spilled the coffee if you weren't driving like a maniac.
Well, I wouldn't drive like a maniac if you didn't make me stop for coffee.
Well, I'm pretty sure they won't start without us, but we might be a little late. Come on. Hey, nice of you guys to show up, but we're trying to do an interview here and it started a little bit ago. Well, this is quite an honor, folks. Welcome back to a interview version of So Well right here on YouTube. I have a very special, as a matter of fact, my new best friend, Tiffany Hayes, joining me today. This is going to be amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Oh, incredible. I really want to put you on the spot immediately. But let's take a moment, and I always say I'm going to slow down because I drink so much coffee, but let me introduce you to all of my friends out there. I'm pretty sure they know who you are, but just in case, because we have a lot of new quilters out there. Tiffany Hayes has been a friend of mine for quite several years. I got to meet her in Sisters, Oregon, right? Teaching out there. She was also part of a quilt guild in California that I got to visit. I met her husband, Scott, out there at that point. So just special friends. But Tiffany has moved to Quitman, Texas, where Stitchin Heaven is located, because she is part of the Stitchin Heaven family in a big way. So we've reunited.
Yes, we have.
We've had tacos.
Tacos.
Her favorite.
Yes.
Tiffany's Taco Tuesday. And so at any rate, this is just really exciting. Most of the time we have to do our Zoom interview, or excuse me, our interviews via Zoom. But today's real special. I'm going to dive into these quilts. We're going to talk about Tiffany's stuff here, but she is so multi-talented. We have a lot to discuss. She's going to do some quilts. We're going to talk about her beautiful batiks, some of her patterns and stuff. So Tiffany, will you kind of bring everybody up to speed, a little bit of your history? Tell us about your design business, about what you and Scott get to do together. I just love hearing about families that quilt together and work together and stuff.
Awesome. All right. So I have a business that is called Needle in a Hayes Stack. And you have to spell out the Hayes because my last name is Hayes. So, and it's needleinahaysstack.biz if you really go looking for me. And there's a whole nother story why I have a .biz, but we'll do that some other time. So I started quilting, probably 30 some years ago when our first son was born. And many years later, when the kids were ready to move out, I decided that I did not want to be an empty nester and sad and lonely, and that I needed to start a business. And since I had been quilting for all those years, I figured a quilt business. And I love to design. I actually designed my first quilt without even knowing any better, because I was so new.
Was it that you weren't attracted to a pattern you had seen, or you just thought you're supposed to make it as you go, and it's...
Just thought I was supposed to make it as I go.
I love that about you.
Yeah, I just took out a piece of paper, drew some lines, cut it apart, added a quarter inch around everything, cut it out, all on bias, and sewed it together.
And it worked.
And it worked. And it worked.
It doesn't have to be frightening, folks.
No. If you don't know what you don't know to be scared.
That was machine quilting for me. I had no idea it was supposed to be a challenge.
Exactly. So anyway, I moved on. I designed patterns. I've designed some fabric. I have gotten to teach on quilt cruises and the Land Ahoys here for Stitchin Heaven. Right. Block of the Month patterns. I've had quilts in magazines. As far as the machine quilting, my husband and I decided to purchase a long arm. We have a handy quilter that we bought, 6 or 7 years ago.
Right.
And when we went to buy it, I thought this was going to be my machine. And it is now more his machine than it is my machine.
Right.
And he does digitized machine quilting. So I designed the quilt block, and then we transfer it over to another program, and he designs the quilting, and then he saves that to the flash drive and goes into the machine, and he does the quilting. He did this one. He did, I believe in my stack here that we'll get to, he did most of the quilting on all of these.
Oh, wonderful. Well, can we start doing a little show and tell with the quilts?
Sure.
You want to dive into that?
Yeah, let's dive in.
All right, so what do we have here?
Well, this one is with a ombre fabric. This one's ombre, the one behind us, but this one is ombre as well. It's called Ombre Churn Chain, and it's done with the Moda ombre from Vanessa Christensen, which is V&Co.
Right.
V&Co.
I love ombres.
Yes, ombres are fun.
Right.
People were scared of them for a while, and I think now they've started to realize that they're not scary.
Right.
You just cut them up and put them back together, and they have such great movement in a quilt.
Did I hand you the top, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're
Folks,
good.
this is why you need labels on the bottoms and sleeves on the tops of your quilt, so we know how to hold them for show and tell. Oh, wow. Look at that.
All right, so this one, I will actually be teaching at the retreat center here at Stitchin Heaven with Vanessa Christensen in January.
Wow.
So I'm lucky enough that, you know, in Vanessa's V and Co, I'm now part of her co.
And the co.
The company.
I want to meet her because I love her fabrics. I haven't met her in person yet, and I have used a couple of the ombres and just love them. Now, these ombres are the same as these ombres?
They are.
Right, because it has the same gold. Some of them had silver, right?
Some of the lines have silver. This one's called Ombre Galaxy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I want to brag a little bit because hopefully some of you have seen me doing some of the machine quilting on the black background version of this. I told you Tiffany was my best friend, and one of the reasons she's my best friend, outside of the fact that she makes great tacos, is that when she made the black background version of this, which we do have kits for, she opened all of the seams. Tiffany, this is the first quilt I've free motion quilted on.
Okay.
That all of the seams were pressed open, and I asked the viewers if they would rather see me quilt the quilt on the long arm, because I'm intimidated by my long arm. So I thought they'll say, yeah, make Rob suffer on the long arm. But they said they want to see it domestically quilted. And so this is the first time I have ever been seated or standing at a machine, you know, quilting domestically where all the seams, and it's just sewing through like a butter.
Like butter, right?
It is wonderful.
There's no big clumps. Your machine doesn't bam, bam, bam as you go through those intersections.
So do you always press your seams open?
I almost always press my seams open.
Wow.
I started to do that many years ago. I designed my very first block of the month was called Asteria, It's big blue quilt, and it has many blocks, and they're all rotated different directions.
Wow.
So you couldn't forecast how to nestle seams. So I thought I was like the only one pressing seams open. Turns out I'm not. But they do make things very smooth. There's a couple things about pressing seams open that you need to be concerned with. If you are intending to stitch in the ditch,
right,
on a long arm or a domestic, you don't want to press them open because you really don't have any substance under there. Sure. But if you're going to quilt the daylights out of it with either a domestic or with a long arm, those seams are not going to come apart once you have done a good amount of quilting. And this one is quilted rather intensely.
Yeah, but Scott likes to get wild with that machine, huh?
Scott's,
Let's show off another quilt. This is awesome.
Okay. The next one in our stack is from a book that I was able to write. Let's turn this one around.
Okay.
Then we can grab the sleeve end.
Perfect.
This one is the one that we did last year on New Year's.
Right.
It's called Churn, 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 and it is in the book Splice Magic.
I was wondering if you were going there with that. Oh, wow, look at that.
So can you see the dark churns and the white churns? They kind of are both in there if you really look.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Yeah, hence the name.
That is amazing. Fantastic.
So this is a simple technique, and Rob has shared it before using the Splice Magic technique. And so we have a whole book about Splice Magic.
And I gotta brag just a few more minutes because Tiffany, I put out a couple of little videos with Splice Magic, and I made the quilt that's on the back of the set back in California. And I really, really am impressed with how and you're the one that engineered the technique where you're gonna get 3 triangles, 2 of one size, half square triangles, 2 of one size, a third of another size, and all go back together. And so that's really, really neat. You figured that out. I was really, really tickled, and it's a cool technique. So
yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, I bet you did. So I'm bragging for her because she won't brag enough.
That's right.
Hand me the book, would you? I gotta show it off.
Yep. So when a light bulb goes on, it just happens.
Yeah, and there's there it was right there. Was that a lucky grab or what?
That's a lucky grab.
Lucky grab. But yeah, there's all kinds of other fantastic designs within the book. But yeah, I just was really impressed, and this is why I think it's so important that we constantly are sharing quilting, because you never know what's going to inspire somebody, or they're going to see something which may be different. And quilters out there, we might think it's incorrect or something at first, but what can come out of it, not saying that this technique was, but man, it's amazing what happens. So this is fantastic.
Yep. You never lose creativity. The more you create, the more you have.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's not mine. I didn't make that up, but it's out there and it makes sense. You know, if you get in a dry spell, just get yourself to create something, and that creates
Right.
more creation.
We'll see if the folks at home notice the fact that I have just appropriated myself a new copy of your book, because I like to keep a couple copies here on the set for me at all times. We'll see if they pick up on that.
Perfect.
All right.
This one's also going to be, we're going to teach this one on a cruise ship.
Do you know when you're cruising?
March.
Oh, where are you going? Do you know?
Caribbean.
Ooh, and you've done cruises with Dad before.
I have.
Yeah.
I have. They're a blast. If you love to cruise and you love to quilt, quilt cruise.
I'm so disappointed. I have become pretty motion sensitive. And part of it was I was on a cruise that didn't go so well for me. And I got very, very sick. And so I won't teach. I don't think it's fair to invite all of our guests to come along out there and then be ill while trying to teach. Looking at patterns was very hard for me. But man, the quilting on cruises is the best, because while there's not much to do at sea, you have your quilting.
Right.
And then you get to the port and you get to go see everything and eat everything and oh, it's amazing. And then you come back and you get to quilt.
And you get to quilt.
And they clean up after you.
Yeah,
They feed you.
I know.
So
it's
anyway,
awesome.
Yeah, so that's great. I'm excited. I really wish, because then we could do quilt cruises together, but I'm afraid I might be Mr. Land Ahoy, which is not a bad thing.
No,
I want to
Land Ahoy is good too.
Sounds fun.
Been there, done that.
Now, what is this beautiful quilt we have here?
All right, this is a new quilt with the basic line from Island Batik.
Okay.
So this, I kind of seem to have a thing for ombre, even though this isn't ombre. I kind of made it an ombre. I mean, I graduated out those colors. So this one is in the new Island Batik lookbook, and when we moved here, we do not have our long arm set up yet. I don't have my studio complete yet. And so my husband, Scott, quilted this one in the Stitchin Heaven store, in the store while there were customers around.
Nice.
Yeah, so.
Well, now wait a second. Did he do that after I spent the night in the store, or before I spent the night in the store?
Before.
Oh, so I didn't inspire him to just go ahead and help himself to the equipment around here?
No, it wasn't you, sorry. Maybe you got that from him.
Maybe, and I just didn't realize it.
Yeah, maybe. So we're working on a video, Rob's working on a video.
Right.
That shows Scott doing some of the quilting, and we talk about a little bit of the designing, but you want to see the quilt?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay, this one's square, so I don't think it really matters if we work up from the sleeve or...
Okay, so then I'm going to take this corner, I guess. I'm hoping.
So this quilt is basically one block, and it's just how we've arranged it. So you make the same block 36 times. So this could have multiple layouts.
Right. So is this kind of the block here that I'm seeing?
Yes.
That is really neat.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and you do have a thing for just kind of making it ombre even when it's not necessarily set to be ombre.
Right.
This is really cool. And you said Scott quilted this one as well.
Yes. Scott's funny when there is a quilt for him to do. He sits down and he says, would you like it lightly quilted, medium quilted, or densely quilted?
And what is this in Scott's opinion?
Dense.
That's what I was hoping you would say, because I couldn't imagine it getting much more.
Any more dense, right?
Yes.
But the great thing about having a computerized long arm machine is once you get it loaded on, he's done the design on the block one time, and so he sets points and he adjusts and he makes sure everything is happy and rotated the right way, and he hits the button and watches it go.
There's a lot we can do with technology.
Oh, so much.
And you can do it to ease the weight on your body. You can do it to duplicate your amount of time, turn it into a career. Just have fun with it. Maybe you like the tech. It was actually part of the embroidery tech early on that got me interested in running sewing machines. But then I realized, for me, I don't like being as precise. Maybe it's because I can't. But so I like the free motion because it's just, about it. But I am very attracted to the way all of this looks. This is some really, really neat looking quilting, and I love the way it accents the design and stuff. So this is awesome. So
yep, I love to watch him design because his brain works different than my brain.
Right.
And so in the beginning, when he was doing machine digitized designing, I'd sit back and go, that looks a little crazy, or that's not curvy enough, or not what I would have done. But I have learned that if I just sit back and let him design, and when it comes out quilted, it's gorgeous, no matter what. And his goal is on this block to not have a single backtrack on over any seam. So he mathematically sits and works that out so that not a single line has to backtrack.
Wow.
It's impressive and to me.
I'm impressed. But it probably is part of that soothing, healing. It's where he goes to recharge, and that's what quilting is about for so many folks.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm sorry. I want to see these. I want to talk about everything forever, but I also know we've got a lot of things to still showcase today. So I'm just going to slide this over here if I can for now. And can you brag about this?
I can brag about this. This is a fabric line called Apothecary. And what I wanted was to have a sort of Halloween feel, but not a Halloween line. And so we've got some spider webs, but we've got some other things. And the pieces that I pulled to share today don't really flow great, but there are 24 pieces of the line, so they're kind of in color stories, and so they do flow together as far as their color stories. So this is from Banyan Batiks.
Wonderful.
And this is my second line with Banyan Batiks. The first one was called Sazerac, and this one's called Apothecary, and I really love these. And this is kind of crazy. A stripe in a batik is unusual. You can do so many things with it.
Yes.
Because it does all the work for you.
Yes, it does. And I walked in, you know, while you were bringing all of your stuff for the show and tell today, and I didn't know that you had designed these. And I just flipped for this one, and then looks like the last one you're going to show us, because I am a nut for high contrast. And I just really like this. Folks, I'm going to do something with this stripe for all of us, because there's so many things that you can do, like you said. But one of the keys is it's not a perfect stripe, which takes some of the pressure off for patchwork. And it makes it really, really intriguing, and I cannot wait to do something with this. This is gorgeous. And yeah, so I'm sorry. I have nothing to do with it. I want to brag about it all day long, but this is gorgeous, Tiffany.
Well, I can't wait to see what you do with it.
Yeah.
So this one's kind of a blender piece, but look at the blue in there.
Oh,
I got to pick threads off. Do you
of
see
course
that?
you do. Yeah, well, because
because that's who we are.
We're fiber artists, of course.
We pick threads.
Yeah.
Yeah, the coloring in this one, I really love. And the design is cool too.
Yeah, it is.
So this is the design, and this is the stripe, and this is the combo piece.
How did you know to answer the question that was going through my head? Like, we didn't practice that.
Well,
yeah, I was trying to figure that out. Yeah. And this, with the contrast and the stripe, and this is nuts. That is really, really cool.
All right, there's a good amount on this bolt, so if you need it.
Maybe we'll put the link in the description for everybody. There you go.
Yep, for Stitchin Heaven.
Yeah.
All right, so these were Banyan Batiks.
Got it.
And I wrote the Splice Magic book with Christy.
Yes.
Christy J. Smith.
Part of the family here also.
Who is also designing with Banyan Batiks.
Right.
And so Christy asked me to create a new block of the month with her line, and her line is called Vintique.
Right.
So it's like vintage, antique, Vintique.
Right.
So I have it. You want to see it?
I do.
Okay.
This is
one's
really
not
exciting,
even quilted.
folks. And I'm just going to elaborate a little bit more, because we have a wonderful place to work here in Texas. And so Christy came in this morning because it's my last day in town, and she wanted just to share with me this beautiful quilt. I said, you know Tiffany's coming in to do an interview today, right? And she did not. And so this is magic that just came together literally before we said, okay, lights, camera, action. So this is super cool. And like you said, Christy has designed with Banyan Batiks too. And folks, again, I know I say I love high contrast, but these batiks are much more subtle. The colors are strong, but the design is subtle because there's something for everybody in quilting. And, sorry, this is your quilt. I'll let you talk about it.
Oh, no, it's Christy's line, my quilt, and we're going to call it the Vintique block of the month. And Christy has asked Scott, my husband, to design the quilting and quilt it. So it's totally an all in the family kind of thing.
This is incredible. Yeah, I was really excited. We do so many block of the months at Stitchin Heaven that it's hard to keep up with the design capabilities. I would not have known this could be block of the month, you know, and that's one of the things. I like block of the month quilts that come together and form all these other wonderful designs and stuff. This is really cool.
The other thing is this one is created with the Goddess tool, which is my tool.
Oh, wow, okay.
So
which block do you want me to try to
I don't know.
focus in on there?
Right about here.
Okay.
This right here is triangle in a square, which I call a tall triangle. We can make those with the goddess tool, as well as half square triangles, these half rectangles. And so each month you get your fabric and your pattern. Block of the months are just awesome because you can work at a pace that isn't overwhelming, you know.
And you're doing, it looks like multiple blocks each month, so you're repeating, so you're learning the skill set and then improving as you go and mastering each technique before you move on to the next.
Right. And so this is one block, and we're going to make 4 of those the first month and then set them aside.
Okay, got it. Right, well, even though we see this as the block.
Right.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, your mind must never sleep either.
No, I have to make it shut off sometimes.
Yeah. And how do you do that? Is there...
There's this stuff called Z-Quill.
Okay.
But if I don't take that occasionally and get a good night's sleep, then I just feel like I'm running out of steam. But I do have some great ideas that happen in the middle of the night. I also have some crappy ideas that happen in the middle of the night.
Right.
You know, and I wake up in the morning and I go, I can't believe you spent 4 hours worrying about that, and that's not even worth a moment of time. And then there's other times that I wake up and you have to run to the computer to create. Because I create almost everything in the electric quilt program. That's just, I know there are different ways for different people. There are art quilters, I appreciate them. There are people who just cut it up and throw it on a design board and put it all together. But in my method, I would say 98% of the time it's in a computer and I can see what it's going to look like before I cut fabric.
Nice. Yeah. And there's some what do I want to say? I've worked that way recently, and I have found it's fun to come to the end of the first quilt top and realize the instructions worked.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say. Because when I used to be a throw it on the wall and then write the instructions, then you'd have to throw it on the wall again to make sure the instructions work. So this is pretty neat. Wow.
Yep.
Incredible. Now let's see, there was something else I thought we had for some show and tell on the table, but I think it's just the fact that we want to remind folks that the white kits are no longer available. Is that really true? Did you just tell me that today?
I heard that.
Ooh.
You can't, we're pretty sure there's no white kits available.
Yeah, because the quilt, and I didn't say this early on, but the quilt that you see on the back wall is kind of our theme quilt for this last year, because this was the second time that Stitchin Heaven was honored as one of the top 10 quilt shops in America. And when you do that in the best, Quilt Sampler, Better Homes and Gardens magazine, when you do that, you get to put a pattern in the magazine. And so we had a lot of magazines. And then we went on to making the black kits, and the black kits are available because the magazine is in the kit.
Yes.
But now we don't have any more magazines.
That's right.
So if you have the magazine, you can make the quilt, but we can't make the kit because we don't have the magazine. I think that's what happened. So make sure that if you see something you like here as things are kind of ramping up, we're in this wonderful growth phase. It was moving week here this last week. Things are going really well at Stitchin Heaven here, and I feel super blessed,
Me too.
and so yeah, that's why we encourage everybody to subscribe, make sure that you're being notified all the time, because you're seeing stuff right now today that it's the first time you're going to see this, and then when this block of the month goes up, we're going to already have a preset amount of block of the months.
Yes.
So they're going to sell quick, especially now that we have a great audience watching our videos and stuff. So this is incredible. I want to thank you for the ride to work today.
Oh, you're welcome.
I do appreciate that. You scared me to death. It was a little faster than I thought I should go. That is Scott's hot rod, and Tiffany only drives it when she's stolen it, so she was driving it like she stole it. Awesome. Thank you for coming and doing the interview. Thank you for
Thanks for having me.
Well, you're welcome to share the quilts and your stories, and these are gorgeous. Folks, please follow Tiffany. Would you plug all of the places that they can follow you, all of your social, all of it? Give them the rundown. Here we go.
Yeah, it's not hard and heavy, but I do have a website. It is needleinaHazeStack.biz. I have Instagram and Facebook. You can sign up for a newsletter on my email, but I don't wear you out with emails hardly at all.
No.
Hardly at all.
Good.
My favorite place to be is Instagram.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And then as far as your upcoming events like the retreats, the cruises, those they sign up for at stitchinheaven.com.
Absolutely.
The expo, you may or may have not have missed it depending on when you're watching this video. The New Year's event, you can sign up for free, you get the soup recipe, you get the cutting instructions, you can join Tiffany and I. We are going to have a wonderful time quilting with our friends live on New Year's Eve day, December 31st. So you have plenty of time for that polar bear swim later. It's going to be a great year.
Oh, it's going to be a fabulous year.
Yeah, creativity is, like you said, I think she's 100% correct. I have been blessed with a creative bug lately myself, and it's growing and growing and growing.
Awesome.
So thank you again for being here and sharing with all of us your amazing quilting.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. It really helps support our channel. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Hit the little button to be notified every time we go live or do a new video for all of you. And here's one from the past I think you'll really enjoy.